Throughout the long and illustrious history of football, countless pinnacle moments have been defined by gleaming trophies and roaring cheers. Yet what strikes deepest into the soul is often a solitary, tragic figure steeped in desolation. In the sweltering summer of 1994 at the Rose Bowl in America, blistering heat hung thick in the air, and every eye fixed on a man with a ponytail tied at the nape of his neck. He stood alone at the penalty spot, his profound gaze holding all the melancholy of the Mediterranean Sea, before he struck the ball, which soared high into the crystal-clear California sky. Head bowed and hands planted on his hips, he let the sunlight stretch his shadow far across the pitch, while not far behind him, Brazilian players erupted in a sea of wild celebration. This was Roberto Baggio. Tonight, beside the gentle glow of a crackling fire, let us follow this timeless tale and step into the true story of his life. Most remember only his heartbreak of missing out on the World Cup trophy in the final, believing that single regret was the source of all his sorrow. Few know, however, that the man dubbed the Divine Ponytail battled through his entire career dragging a badly damaged right leg. 22 steel pins were embedded in his knee, bringing searing, agonizing pain with every sprint and kick. His serene detachment amid football's glitz and glamour stemmed from countless sleepless nights spent finding spiritual refuge in the ancient, profound teachings of Buddhism. Breathe easy now, let the restlessness of the day fade into the night, and journey back to that romantic, fateful Italian summer. Fate rarely bestows unparalleled natural talent without attaching a crippling price to pay. For 18-year-old Roberto Baggio, that harsh bill arrived far too soon. It was spring 1985, and the teenage prodigy at Vicenza suffered a devastating on-pitch injury that tore his right anterior cruciate ligament and meniscus completely apart. Back when sports medicine was still limited, such damage was practically a death sentence for a professional footballer. French surgeons cut into his flesh to repair his ruptured ligaments, securing them in place with fine steel pins. 22 pins remained permanently lodged inside his young body, an inescapable lifelong burden. Months after the operation, Baggio could not even walk unaided, muscle wasting shrank his right leg down to the thickness of an arm. Each new day brought wakefulness interrupted by relentless throbbing surging from his damaged knee. At his lowest, he begged his mother in tears to end his suffering if this was what life had in store for him. He watched peers run free across nearby meadows, trapped instead in dim rehabilitation rooms as therapists forced his stiff joints through painful stretches. Physical torment blended with crushing mental despair, dulling the cheerfulness that once lit his eyes and leaving a permanent layer of gloom in his stare. This was fate carving the first crack into his soul, through which suffering seeped endlessly, yet from the wreckage, an unyielding resolve began to take root. As unrelenting physical agony pushed him toward breaking point, a spiritual philosophy from the East cast a quiet beam of light over Roberto Baggio's world. A friend gifted him a book on Buddhist practice, its insightful verses offering him a peaceful sanctuary away from his hardships. In his spare time between training sessions, he took up seated meditation, closing his eyes to slow and deepen his breathing. Buddhist teachings of karma, impermanence, and letting go gradually freed the young man trapped in chronic pain from resentment toward his crippling injury. He came to understand suffering was not a cruel punishment from fate, but a spiritual trial and a necessary step toward enlightenment. Whenever sharp pains flared in his knee, he abandoned frustration and despair, choosing instead to acknowledge, accept, and calm the ache from within. Every single morning, Baggio devoted 2 uninterrupted hours to silent meditation, cleansing inner turmoil and earthly cravings in stillness. This profound spiritual shift translated onto the pitch as unmatched poise and graceful playing style. Draped in Fiorentina's purple jersey, he moved across the grass with an ethereal elegance, every feint and pass felt meticulously calculated yet effortlessly natural. The peace nurtured by his faith blended seamlessly with his artistic football, turning him into Italy's most dazzling young talent. Yet the noise of worldly fame and cutthroat commercial disputes would soon bring fresh trials to the peace-seeking footballer. The summer of 1990 saw a record-breaking transfer catapult Roberto Baggio into controversy, laying bare football's cold, profit-driven reality. Juventus paid an astronomical fee to prize him away from beloved Fiorentina. The deal sparked uproar across Florence, with furious supporters taking to the streets, vandalizing shops and accusing the club of selling their sporting icon. Labeled a traitor by enraged fans, Baggio was accused of abandoning his hometown for money. He chose silence amid the barrage of abuse, well aware an individual player held little sway against corporate football's financial power. The most iconic twist of fate unfolded when he returned to Florence's home ground wearing Juventus colors. Boos and jeers roared down from thousands of stands as Juventus were awarded a crucial penalty. Despite being the club's designated spot kick taker, Baggio walked over to his manager and shook his head, refusing to take the penalty against his former